meeting to order, please. Thank everybody for being here. This is a workshop tonight, so nothing will be voted on or decided tonight. This is strictly a workshop, so it's just kind of a jam session, if you put it that way. While we're here, this is the opportunity for members.
I don't know what the terminology here, I mean, workshops, where I came from would be a workshop. We didn't have special sessions. But a special session is one where there's no activity involved in deciding. So it is what it is. It's too late to change the agenda for that purpose. But I think there's no action items on there, so it won't make any difference in that sense.
Okay, yeah, my understanding is a workshop, we only need 3 in the quorum, and no decisions can be made. And a special session, you have to have 4, and decisions can be made. So
Well,
that's
on the
my
special
understanding.
sessions, that's true if it's like setting tax rates or certain things under that provision. I don't, that tonight is just, but you have 4 here.
Oh, no, we're good.
Yeah. So either way, so there's no,
yeah.
so, and it's only, there's no action
I was
items
just
tonight.
explaining the difference.
Oh,
the way
okay,
I
yeah,
understand
yeah.
it. Okay.
Okay, back to it. This opportunity for members of the public to address the city council about topics of interest. Please limit your conversation to 3 minutes, and all speakers are asked to please come up to the podium, identify themselves along with their address. Remember, we will not be able to respond to your questions since right now we don't have anything on the agenda to do that. So, but we will be more than happy to hear your comments. Going with that, we will start off, and the first person that signed up, Larry.
Special session, yeah. It doesn't have any action items on it, though. Yeah.
Well, no, we can't address it. We'll address it here in a minute at the deal. Yeah, he'll address that when he's gonna make the presentation. Probably, yeah. You bet. Hopefully we'll clear that all up for you, Larry. Andrea?
You never know what it's going to be like in here.
I turned it off because I knew it was getting too warm.
Thank you, ma'am. Everybody's struggling with that, so it's, all the big cities are too, just like we are, so, we're there. Sharon?
I feel for you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Okay, council, tonight we are going to have basically, our code enforcement's gonna be, you go ahead, you wanna bring, do you have something you wanna say first?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and have Mike step up. Tonight, let me just back up since there was some question about the meeting. Tonight was, we had every intention of bringing an action item for you for consideration, discuss and consider an action item. That's where it was a work session. That item got pulled before, it didn't make it. We didn't switch the title of it. That's on me. Two is we will get a governance model policy, basically declaring the type of meetings we have and what they'll be used for in the future. And then once you all decide on that, that's the way path forward instead of having the confusion. But there was going to be an action item, but what's needed internally in order to bring it to you was not completed in time. So that was part of the mix up on that part of it. But the housing code and the other, the maintenance code you're going to hear tonight, it's not anything that relates to what the community should be from the staff's point of view. It's going to give you information to say, these are things that we want to bring for you for consideration to talk about and discuss. It has nothing to do with staff saying, this is what I want you to do for your community, because this is your community. You get to decide, obviously. But I think it's important that if the building official has information that you need to discuss, then bring it for you, hear it. And obviously, what you decide on doing is your choice.
Absolutely.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike.
He made recommendations on this, so he made recommendation to keep or remove or alter, so that's just for his opinion.
Yeah.
On us to consider, y'all to consider.
How you doing this evening? Well, what I brought tonight was copies of our current ordinances, whether it be for health and safety or building housing code. And I've made suggestions for changes in it if the council does not feel they want to adopt the 2015 IPMC. Just totally understand. Just giving you options of either or, but we do need to make some small changes in the current ordinances. Some of it's just typo stuff and defining my position and things like that. So that way everybody can follow it correctly.
I just have kind of an overriding question, and that is, you referenced the 2015, and they're updated every 3 years, and there is a 2024 out there.
Yeah.
Why aren't we
I'm aware
talking
of
about the 2024?
Well, it was to match up to our current adopted IRC, which is also 2015. That way, when I present to you guys a code upgrade, it will contain the IPMC if y'all were to adopt it, and possibly other codes, the International Fire Gas Code, International Mechanical Code, which is all parts of the IRC, but
My
it's more
concern is,
definition.
of course, in 10 years, a lot of changes happen and people's mind change, and they put in different things. And we might approve something that has been declared illegal or has been taken out of the current one. So I understand you're trying to match up, but that's my concern.
I have a question for you. Are we currently under the International Property Maintenance Code of 2015?
No, sir. No, sir.
So it's all local ordinances?
Yes, that is correct.
I just wanted to clarify that. Larry, back to your point, that the IRC that he's talking about was the one that we shut down 10, 15 years ago. So, yeah, that's what I meant, the International Property Maintenance Code.
It's two different, yep.
No, the IPMC and the IRC are by the same company. The International Code Council creates the IPMC, the IRC, the IBC, the IFGC, the IMC,
But
IPC.
they're all different.
Yes, but they're all created by the
Property
same.
management or property maintenance.
It's all created by International Code Council.
Yeah, I understand it comes from the same source, but they are different documents.
Yes.
But we have not accepted,
No, you don't have that adopted. What you have adopted is what you have in front of you right now. And that's what I brought to you tonight, to look at
Sorry
the
about
suggestions that I have for changes in this if y'all do not want to adopt the 2015 IPMC. So,
well, we haven't seen the 2015
that.
IMC.
Right.
Well, I looked through it pretty extensively.
Yeah,
Where did you find it?
I scanned it online.
Online. You know, and I'm all for property right ownership. Like, I'm all about it. But I also think there's a possibility of an owner to take care of the same things too. And so, you know, I have a couple key concerns on it. But I want to really just dig in to see what the changes we have here. Honestly, I have not looked at this yet.
Got it.
And I'm, see what we have.
But if
Yeah.
we haven't adopted it, what are we changing?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm. Us.
It's mine. It's mine.
Let me clear a couple things up. Okay, we do not have the International Property Maintenance Code adopted in Morgan's Point. It is not adopted. I presented it to y'all to review or to review on your own time, however long you need, to see if it's something you want in your town. I have used it for many years. Right, and that's all I gave you is, yes, that's correct. Anyway, mhm, yes.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to suggest that we listen to Mike's presentation first, and then we'll all ask questions. Thanks.
Well, I mean, basically, all of it is I'm presenting to you your current existing ordinances that have to have some changes. Your city manager is not your building official. I am. So that has to be changed in here, in every space where it says the city manager. So that's what I presented to y'all. Y'all can look to y'all.
Code, it would supersede our code here, right?
Yes.
So we have the option of taking international codes.
Just, if we keep this, we just need some changes to cover us legally if I have to go to court or something over a property.
You like that idea of having international, I mean, that's a.
No.
Been accepted, you don't?
No, not at all. Well, we're fighting two animals at the same time. Yeah. So if you want to talk about just the internal,
I mean, I was planning on handling it like that. We like this.
Mike, can you go ahead and go over the existing housing code and just hit some of the highlights of things? You mentioned the fact you're the building official, not the city manager. That makes sense. But I'm just saying, kind of hit some of those things that you provided them, so there's a little bit of background they got to consider.
Yeah, I have. I just haven't had a chance to present that to y'all. Yeah.
Here you go, here you go, take this right here. Oh, I got it.
If you look at the housing code, you'll see section 3.03.003, designation of building official. C says the city manager is referred to in this code as the building official. I put in there to remove that and add building. No, I don't. I planned on handing you this to y'all and y'all read it.
running.
So we can come back at another date and go over it together if y'all like. Board of Adjustments and Appeals, we need to create that board. I put a note in there for y'all that we still need to create the board.
So, very first council meeting, the Housing Board of Adjustments.
I remember us saying at that time, we thought the city council would act as that board, because we don't have a separate board.
Down here, duties of building official at 3.03.061. For his designate, I said may include the fire marshal, but I also added the fire chief and police chief. They should be able to hand a notice to a person that I've created if they're meeting with that person or something like that. So just designating them to be able to do what I do shouldn't be a big issue. Let's see here, section 3.03.063. C says the notice shall state that if such repair, reconstruction, alteration. And if you look down past that at number 3, it said by publication of such notice in a newspaper of general circulation not less than 3 times within a 15-day period. I added to also post a copy of such notice on the property in question. Okay. Let's see. Plus, that's why we kind of need a workshop, because we can sit down and actually kind of go back and forth on all this stuff.
Well, this is a
I'm asking you to hit the highlights. I'm not asking you to go to every one of them. So just go ahead and hit some of the highlights that, so they can kind of see what you're thinking, whether it's the fire chief or the police chief. That was good background information. I'm sure they appreciate.
And the other one, the other book that you have, section 6.04.004, prohibited conditions.
section 6. Section 3,
Section 6.04.004.
Is it in the same document or a different one you have?
Mike, do you feel that with the suggested changes to these documents here, that these documents would be adequate for something for us to, it would do what we need it to do?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Like on the one I'm trying to explain on the permitting of existence of weeds, brush, rubbish, and other objectionable and sanitary matter. I put down here just a note says does not cover exterior storage. You know, we have a problem of some property storage of goods that are manufactured to be stored inside. Then I can deal with some of the exterior storage of a lot of junk on properties.
Would you care to define junk?
Well,
Is that in the eye of the-
That's not designed to be kept outside. It's manufactured.
In a tote,
kept inside.
right?
Huh?
It's in a tote.
I'm just, y'all don't have to accept.
No, I'm just, okay,
And then on exterior, no, exterior storage?
Yes.
Is that like a carport?
No, that means exterior storage of goods.
So that just means it's just laying on the ground?
Yeah, all
Okay,
over their
okay,
property.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. Okay.
okay, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Just laying on the ground may be exactly where I wanted to put it.
I understand. But it also may draw rodents.
Hey, it's a valid point here. You're getting into my business.
Well,
This is my yard.
this is the.
You remember what-
entire community. Yep.
Yes, ma'am, I understand that. Remember what, that's not good, that's not good, you can't do this, you can't do that. Because, for one thing, this is absolutely not an HOA for most of the place. People that like to have all of that, tell you when you can have your garage door open and what color your paint can be and all of that, Joel, get it to HOA, I'll give you $5 to move.
We don't.
I don't want that in here. No, I understand that, but you're walking down a slippery slope here. I tried to tell you that last time.
Yeah. And
You've got to be very, very careful about what you're doing and why you're doing it.
and
Yes,
for
that's,
me,
Time we meet, I brought some photos in that we could discuss on existing properties in your town that other
No,
people
because
may have to
having an
move next
existing-
to.
I think
Do that.
is resistance to any restriction on anyone's property based on what Neil said about property rights. But I'm sure they are defined. Because there's a lot
do
of
that for you.
things. Yeah, I'm sure. Well, okay.
Mayor and council, if we can take notes on things that we need to bring back for clarity purposes from this discussion. So if they're wanting some definitions of stuff, make note of that if you would, and then we'll just bring that back for discussion. We'll do a workshop next time around that will give us a little bit more interaction. Bring some photos, bring whatever you think is important for them to consider. Whether what they choose to do is their decision, but at least they're making informed decisions one way or the other. It's
Also, what's helpful to me, and you know me pretty well now, is I like to receive the materials and to never seen the document before. So if we can, the next time around, just have something in advance that we can spend a minute to look at it.
I mean, I think there's things that have to be fixed. I'm not gonna agree, again, I'm a property rights guy, but I also understand that there's a owner, you have to be a responsible owner, you know what I mean? It's like there's a balance, and so I think,
It's a town.
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to help some folks that I get complaints from that have to live next to other folks that do not maintain their properties, and they are in poor condition.
But it is private property.
Yes, sir, it is.
Then don't look. Then don't look. Well, I understand that, but it's also, come on. But we do not all have the same value system. Well, yeah, that's true.
Okay, Mike, take back control.
Yeah,
You made it.
Mike, keep going, man, you're doing great. We appreciate you.
Section 6.04.006, notice to abate. Health official needs to change to building official because I'll be the one dealing with all this. Provides 7 days, and I said 30 days, depending on extent of violations, citizen resources, et cetera. In other words, us giving some consideration to folks who don't have money that we, may have access to help them come into compliance.
In other words, work with them.
Yes, absolutely.
Provide
think
exemption
there's-
for hardship is great.
Yeah, I think there's some considerations that can be made. Some civic organizations that may want to use their time and abilities to help people that need some help. I don't know, you got scouts? Scouts like to do citizen.
I have a list of charitable organizations all around the area that
Yeah.
when I come across a property and the folks are either elderly, maybe don't have the money to do the cleanup, I have this list that I can direct them in a way to where
One of those volunteer programs that is really beneficial to the entire
Meals
community.
on Wheels, I deal with Kidney Foundation, I deal with Homes for Humanity, a lot of them. Okay, so I got on B down there to add and post it on the property in question.
I'm having a really hard time following, I'm sorry.
That's-
There's no page numbers on here, so I can't even ask you.
Yeah, if I can come back and I'll be better prepared if I know I'm gonna be presenting this whole thing.
Mayor, council, do you have any problem with us rescheduling this discussion? I would like you to go ahead and send out everything electronically regarding the maintenance code, as well as we know that's something that's going to be discussed. And if council is willing to entertain it, Mayor, then we'll just.
Council, as soon as you can, and then we'll set up a date after that.
Right.
Give y'all enough time to look it over. A week, 2 weeks, whatever you want. Let's get it out so we can look at it. Fair enough?
Yes,
Mike, we know you're working hard.
we need you in the city, I will tell you. You are not are going to be very
Didn't hurt my
busy man.
feelings or nothing. I mean, I'm just here to.
We just have to
quality of
wrestle with
life.
it.
No, I think it was going to the housing.
And figure out, so we can give you the guidance you need.
Y'all don't-
Yes, ma'am. Code officer was coming up too. I would hope he would help her find some, because I know my,
The car chase, the guy busted into the house, and before they could even get back to semi-normal, the code guy was out there getting, we absolutely do not
there
want
would have
that.
been a way to handle that.
Oh, my God, yes. One, you would have a little common sense.
I think they figured it out finally, but
Add
it
a little
was
bit of
pretty
compassion.
quick.
All right, let me ask you one quick question. On the very first page of the changes that you'd like, the employees, is there a potential conflict in that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
That's just allowing me to, if I don't have time to go post it on the House board.
Mike, Roxanne?
I have a question, just because if I take this home and look at it, there's several areas here where it's grayed out, and it
Yes.
looks like that's what you're recommending would be removed,
Well,
correct?
no, that was,
Be able to be removed, if
yeah,
we agree.
like handbills.
Yeah,
It's not a common thing. People don't deliver handbills anymore, so
Okay.
there's a lot of language in there.
okay,
Or
okay.
just pull it out.
And then the yellow highlighted parts are what you're kind of wanting to clarify or add?
Yeah, I
make
mean,
the-
I probably didn't get it real great on there on
Okay.
categorizing my codes or anything, but I'll be better prepared if we're gonna go over each thing together. Sorry.
Appreciate it, Mike. We're gonna move right along, because I think Dennis has the city manager updates he wants to give us, so let's
Before we
give him an opportunity.
Mr. Mayor, has been superseded, and trying to find a copy of it online of the new ones are kind of, the one I did find was, sounded exactly the same from Austin. They've got it posted. People, an awful lot of power.
It's up to y'all.
Wait a minute.
It's whatever you either give, whatever y'all wanna do, that's up to you. I'm not,
Yeah, okay. Yes, they can check on your interior of your home. Peeling, flaking, chipped paint shall be eliminated and surfaces repainted. So you're gonna come in and check my painting? Heaven forbid you should wanna put in a swimming pool or a hot tub on your patio. You're gonna have one hell of a big fence around it.
and I don't like to play the what if game, and that's what we're doing here. We're playing the what if game. If we don't like it, you don't approve it. Yeah,
Please.
okay.
You asked the question, would we want to go to the standardized one? And I'm telling you.
All you do say is no.
Right now.
No.
That's what's in the standardized one right now, that smartly, to your point, if you're gonna change to that, you would not go to the 15, you'd go to the 20, whatever the current one is.
And also, think about it for a minute, it says international. So this is a global document,
Yeah, but
and we are 5,000 people in central Texas. And we need to do what Paris is doing,
Well, not to
New
mention,
York City is doing, or,
and there's court cases, you can Google and look it up right now. Fourth Amendment, Texas Constitution, Eighth Amendment, Texas Constitution and local government codes, Fifth Amendment in Texas property rights laws, local governance and home rules. So there's like a lot of issues.
that are against.
Yeah.
Okay, my first reaction is international. I mean,
yeah, just what I wanna do is.
Texas is an enigma. So we would have to do amendments to it regardless. And like,
I like
again, there's a,
tailoring.
I, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that there's things that we can glean from that and maybe adopt into here though, right? You know what I mean? I mean, again, I think we're all pretty reasonable people.
Mike City, if we adjust us right here with our existing code, we can live with it. So that's what you want anyway, I believe, isn't it?
That's
Isn't that
the
kind of where
direction I think we're headed.
Yeah, that's
I think that's
what I'm thinking.
when we did this before, it was, oh, okay, yeah, that's great, let's go with it, until, whoa, wait a minute, you understand what you just signed up for? And everybody went, no, I don't want that. You know, coming in your house and telling about your peel paint? Well, nobody would do that. Nonsense. First time you give a government agency a chance to come into you to do something, they're gonna grab it and run. Not this crew, I admit that, but there are, historically, for those people who can remember more than yesterday, we're setting up boundaries for the future as well as the present.
I wasn't sure what housing.
I think the best thing to do, because like I said, we started out one way, even staff did for action items. They got pulled where we're at because of lack of oversight on my discussion as well. All right.
And P and Z needs to be involved.
All right. Let me kind of give you some things that's been going on behind the scenes and give you a little bit more information that you probably would like to hear. FEMA, actually, regarding FEMA, we received the last Cirrus invoice. That was a big issue because the tipping fees came in much higher from what was quoted to them. Long story short is, we got it, and we're in the process of uploading those to FEMA. We just got it today, the actual invoice that's due. So that's good news. We're at the very end of the last stage, if you will, of the process for reimbursement, nearing the end of that process. TxDOT sidewalk. Okay, I'm going to say this in a way that doesn't offend anybody outside this room, but we had, one of the concerns I had going into this TxDOT project was the companies that were involved, I'll put it that way. The engineering firm gave an estimate, and it was passed on to TxDOT. I wasn't aware of all the inner workings, but I know that from the ground storage tank, the original quote that was given was well below what it actually cost. Well, that same parties were involved in this one. I had serious reservations about that. So there's a thing called, it's basically, it's ICE for short. It's the independent cost estimation. And companies do that. So you have someone independent of the people submitting it. You can double check that work and see if you're comfortable with it. You can do it on your own. You can do it. In this case, I didn't know if it was done in this particular case. So I got a hold of TxDOT, and lo and behold, they did. And they conveyed to me that the original quote came in at $1.6 million and some change. And after they looked at it, they sent it back, and now it's at 2.96. So 2.96 million tank based off that quote. Well, had you known that, had you known it, you could have issued more debt to cover the whole cost instead of using the various sources you had to use, your ARPA money or even the fund balance, whatever it may have been. This amount also includes a 15% contingency fund. It includes a 4% inflation adjustment. And we're talking about the next step. You all did the reservation. I didn't feel that was the right thing to do until we had more information. Well, and the other side is, let's say if there is cost overruns, how is TxDOT going to do it? What's their protocol? Verbally is one thing, but I didn't have anything in writing. Well, I got it in writing now. So these are some of the options if it does go over budget from their perspective. Is available funding elsewhere within TxDOT that can be reprogrammed. They said that's very common. They do that. I say, okay, that's one. Originally, the original scope and quality actually can change and or reductions made. So that means it's what I call scope value engineering, where you can take what you have, you may still end up with a sidewalk, but instead of a 6 foot, you may end up with an 8 foot. That's value engineer, basically the same thing, but just another way, cutting cost. So that was another option. They have what's called add alternate bidding. And that basically means is that you have the base bid and it said move forward with it all fine. If they're not, you can get the base bid, which is, or if you can't go down here, well, you just stay with the base funding, the base bid and nothing else. So there's definitely flexibility there that puts my mind at ease in that sense. All else fails, you can always send it out if only the base bid's there. And let's say we needed to look at it, perhaps reletting that project, they're willing to do that. So there's lots of things in their toolbox that make it better. But I'm gonna be honest with you, the number one concern I had is the parties involved estimates was not, but they were looked at by ICE through TxDOT through an ICE process that did change, and I feel better that they did it that way. Was 2.96 is what it shows here, 958. So I don't know what 3.8 I think is the ground storage tank, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. Total cost, yeah, that $2.9 million includes. There's a 15% contingency built in there, $355,000, and there's almost a $200,000 inflation adjustment just in case as well. But we have that's okay and that's good. All projects should have that. I don't think in the ground storage tank there was a contingency fund built in. There wasn't inflation adjustment, things like that. So those are pretty common elsewhere. It wasn't done here, but because of those concerns, I was hesitant to go forward with that based on our previous discussion. So feel better about it, and I think it's not a bad project. They're funding it. You can't beat that part of it. I do think there's some choke points of concern right there at the intersection. I could have it wrong, but I think it's Lake Forest and 2483. There's that big drop of impervious surface that creates more flooding. It's like I told TxDOT, this isn't the residents' fault. This is you on the road. So we had those discussions, and they're aware of it, and I think they feel that there's ways to mitigate that. So that's good news. If you look at that area I just described, it drops down probably 12 feet. And so is that going to create more of an issue to the neighbors behind it? But also, how are we going to channel that water? What's the process? That was funded in this year's budget. We sent that out. I think we're going to have to send it out again. Issues. So that's that on the TxDOT. Ground storage tank. There was a clay valve closing issue. In other words, normally it would have been an 8-inch clay valve. It was 16-inch, huge. And there was concerns about why we ended up with that. That's what the engineers recommended. Long story short, is they think they found a solution. We, behind the scenes, have been running some simulation through the public utilities, and sure enough, it appears like it will work. So that is going to be moving forward. I talked to you all, let you all know the process. I'll be bringing back that for later ratification. Still coming in under the total project cost of I guess, the revised version. Intergovernmental Railroad is participating in such a program. From their perspective, and I respect everyone around the table, they felt there were barriers to some approach like this because they had obviously cost. Available funding, it's all over the map. You've got some that have no fund balance, or virtually none. You have some that are healthy, not the best time to do that. However, they felt that perhaps we can do a coalition where we're not bound by any kind of donation, but we can perhaps share resources and monetize that. So if we wanted to use, I'm just saying, a crack seal machine from another city, then they would have a set price for that. We would end up being invoiced. FOG is taking the lead and seeing what the feasibility of that would be. But since that, and I let them know that we're going to have to go ahead and look at some other alternatives, not that we wouldn't be agreeable to that, that's a council decision, but we need to still look forward to moving forward with our road program. Reached out to David Blackburn's office to see if the county might be interested in providing a quote to the city of Morgan's Point for the scope of work we're going to do for this fiscal year. I'm not saying he would do it, but I did place in there, and I think he was the county judge at the time. Back in 2017, you all went through, so it's not unheard of. It would be cost savings to us because we're paying them at a lower rate than we pay for a vendor. It's profit driven. And it would be more revenue for them. And I know their road and bridge funds are kind of tight. So I'm not sure he's going to do it. He hasn't given me feedback yet, but if he says yes, he's interested in it, it would take an interlocal agreement, which I'll bring back to you all with a quote. And if it's feasible, if it's going to cost more than we have, then we'll have to see what scope of work we can get done given the county's ability to do.
In the meantime, should council be looking at an alternative of a third party?
No, I'd wait. You may go that way. I'd rather see this here first, but I think it'd be wise because you're in the slow time of year anyway. There's not a lot of road work going on right now. So the RFQs take very little for our RFP in this case. So I would not want to be on a possibility or hypothetical. I did make the request. He'll either say yes or no. If he says yes, then we'll work through their staff, bring before you an interlocal agreement and the cost and the scope of work we're looking at doing. That's the best way to do it. I sent it to him a couple days ago. He hasn't responded, but he may not get to it. I understand. If it's not feasible for the county, then we'll look at another approach, which would be the traditional approach, which is RFPs. But we are paying the profit side of the house. So, but anyway, so that's where that is right now. Comprehensive plan, I know it's delivered, it's the draft, and it's working its way through. I'm going to ask NIDA to give us an update where that's at this particular time.
I have been following up very closely with our engineer, Eric Drake, and so we did get that draft back January 14th. It did get sent out to our council, our stakeholders, and our steering committee for feedback. Graciously, thank you guys for being able to get that feedback. That was turned over back to Kara. She is compiling all that. I did follow back up with her today. We'll have another quick meeting on Monday to see where she's at. So far, looking at the calendar, it's on page 47 for the comprehensive plan for you guys. We are 11th and then getting it adopted by council, so we're not seeing any hangups. I'm following pretty closely that we can get it moving. We did start this in 2022, so that is the plans to get it moving a little quicker. So, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. The next thing I want to highlight is the strategic planning session that we need to have. I said last meeting, and this is it's coming to fruition, we're going to have more meetings. Bottom line, there's just too much and I don't want to wait till later on in the year like some cities might do that had everything in place. So we'll need to be reaching out to you all, find out when your date's available for February. We got a meeting coming up. I think it's 11th, could be wrong. Is the date? Okay. But we need to have a strategic planning session built in there. And it's going to be where you all will actually we'll bring all the projects together. In fact, if you all would start funneling things to me in writing, or actually just send it to Camille on the projects. It doesn't matter. Whatever you think's that's long-term strategic planning that would be required in order to either achieve it and or fund it or start making progress to it, mention those projects. I don't need to get involved in the money side of the house because it's not that time. There's another way to deal with that, just like in the funding strategies in there. Doesn't mean you have to follow them, but we're going to talk about them, and you'll actually adopt that document once you've all come to the agreement, this is what we're going to have moving forward. And it will look at 5 years out. The meeting that we'll have will look well beyond that. It may go out 20 years, but it's the next 12-month period that we're going to be looking at, as well as the next 4 years following. About of every 5-year chunk, we're going to be looking at trying to say, okay, what is our priorities? And you'll see it every year. Doesn't mean you have to stick with it. You can always change it as a council, but it gives the staff the ability to go ahead and start doing some planning and start looking at financing, how things will work together and what have you. We'll also talk about perhaps funding sources for capital improvement moving forward. Some cities use that you don't use here. We'll talk about that as well. So we'll be talking about dates, and that's just one of several things we need to talk about between now. There's a mid-year budget review, but I'm probably going to do that sooner than that. We have, he's not here tonight, but Kerry is submitted his resignation, so we will be switching to a new financial director, and that's been advertised, so give it some time to see who we get on board. And we wish Kerry the best. Like I said, I was going to wait till the 11th, but kind of fit in here, so I went ahead and let you know. But I think some of the challenges we have is the budget process. Remember, we got new software in. All these things are time consuming, and but at the same time, we need certain things in order for the budget to move smoothly this year. And I don't want to wait till the last minute. Last year was just literally, it was being printed while you all were gathering here. That's how close it was, and that's not the way to do business.
And the last time I think I received financial information of any sort was July.
Yeah.
And that was in the budget package, and I'm real frustrated.
Well, you'll be more frustrated when I tell you that everything you've had prior to now, without a, well, let me finish my saying though. Without a fiscal year close, everything that you've been getting, and this is no disrespect to anybody, has not been, I could have just thrown out any number and give it to you. That's not the way that government works. We have to have some responsible records to show this is where we got, where these numbers are. And so, but we will work fast as we can and start getting you some valid information coming through your here. But that's going to be,
What our fund balance is.
well, I don't,
So
well,
we're starting to make some decisions or setting direction, and it'd be nice to know where we are.
I agree with that, but what I'm talking about setting direction for planning purposes is 20 years out. It won't, the here and now, you have adopted budget, you know what you started with, you know what you're dealing with. The thing of it is, for here, we've been using what's called cash in bank as your fund balance. There's no such animal. It doesn't exist. Well, that, exactly, right. And even that cash was restricted. It was committed or assigned in other ways. Unless it's unassigned, it doesn't make that bucket of unassigned to do what you want it. So there's lots of things that has to be dealt with, and that's a big one, but it's not a quick fix. So what I want to do is I want to try to keep us moving forward, make sure what we send to you is valid information. It's not a guess. It's not just a swag. So it's going to take a little bit of time. Staff is gearing up for it. There's a transition period that we're getting stuff done over the next 2 weeks before Kerry leaves. And we've got, there's stuff, training going on because we have new software. There's a budgeting software. Again, there was things that we need to get done. For example, good example, this meeting here, we had intention, the reason it was going to be a session is because we also had the brush truck. We have a grant for $100,000 that came in through a 2018 grant that just kind of re-upped and continued to be clicked. Yes, we still want it. Well, lo and behold, it came in. Well, there's still some funds we have to come up with.
You'll need a little bit more money, yeah.
Yeah, but $100,000 is $100,000. It's not bad. And we have a contingency set aside in this year's budget for that backfill, but Ulster County gave us $11,000. So that's a budget amendment to recognize the revenue we're getting today. And it's my apologies, it's my failure. We pulled that and came off with, that's where we are at. But these things here are, so I apologize for the information that was not accurate or could have been where else you would see a fiscal year end close, where you reconcile your bank accounts, your inflows, your outflows, whether it's accounts receivables and what have you. But we have never done that in the last several years. So everything you've gotten, it's not that it's was wrong. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I know I have no way to show it either way. And I'm not passing on bad information, so I just won't do it. And so I think what I need to do is step up, do a little bit more on my end, make sure you get the stuff you need, and give you my commitment, I will do that. And that's about all I've got.
So our,
Council, I'm going to mention, please, when you get the information from Mike, let's go over it. Let's jump on this code as quickly as there's a lot of stuff ahead of us. So let's bite it as quickly as we can. So I'm not trying to rush you, but let's try to give it some priority, and we'll try to get together and get some of that knocked out. As Dennis has a lot of work for us to do the next 4 or 5 months. So
our,
other than that,
we're talking about strategic planning meeting in February. I just want to kind of mark my calendar so I don't go on a trip. Because we might all go on a trip.
But we can zoom in, right? So we have to do it.
I definitely need you to zoom.
Where they don't have access.
Oh, okay.
I definitely, we definitely need you to zoom in if you're going to be gone, but we need to kind of get an idea. It's not only the February strategic meeting that's super good, important, but then there's a capital improvement program that has to be adopted, and that's not a quick turnaround. And then you've got the mid-year budget. I don't want to wait to the mid-year budget. There's an issue with all the stuff that's laying on the ground, the fire hazard that we've all known about. FEMA's about ready to come to a close. We get that pit released. We can start burning again, start focusing on all this curbside collection. Well, we also need to be looking at, if we can, we want to figure out a way to come to you with a budget amendment and go ahead and staff a position that will help facilitate the brush. And there's more to it than I can give you in just a few minutes. But long story short is, I don't want to wait till mid-year. I want to move it up a little bit faster. And I already told the department head, it's from the fire. You won't see another position coming. This will help us a lot dealing with that specific issue, who's trained up in that aspect.
Well, in the long run, it should help them because we
It will.
avoid.
Exactly. Yes, yeah.
folks, I appreciate y'all being here. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
To adjourn.
Second, in favor? You're welcome to stay here. We can talk now or whatever, but meeting's officially closed.